Hi, this is Deck again, one of my tutorials. Educational, I like to call it educational. I've gone through my career and I have just listened to the experts, taken what they have said and done it without question. And I would advise you that is the way to do it. The professional side of the business, and yes, I'm on the professional side of the business, we have sorted out completely all the wrinkles, all the snags in Zoom as regards Toastmasters meetings. We've been at this now for nearly 3 years since COVID started, and we've got it all sorted out. And I would say to you, just do what I say and you will do it perfectly. The first premise you've got to bear in mind is that everything to do with the sound and the lighting goes into one laptop and one laptop only. And that will get rid of all the echoes and the various obnoxious sounds that you get. The second laptop is purely there. Now understand this. The second laptop is purely there just to service the second camera and to show what the second camera sees to the whole world. In other words, that's connected just like any outsider's camera or laptop at a meeting. It's completely separate. The sound is not on, mics are muted, and there's no sound coming out of it at all. Once you understand that, you've got it made. And I would have to say that this is being recorded on Zoom, so the quality is not terrific. The quality on Zoom is 320 gigahertz, and that's not good. Normally we're used to 1050, and that's HD. So I apologize for that up front, but that's the way I had to do this. So let's get on. What are we going to cover in this educational? We're going to cover sound, why 90%, 95% of Toastmasters clubs get it completely wrong. Lanyards, why you should use lanyards. You must use a lanyard like this for the microphone, and I'll show you exactly why. Speakers, the sound in the room, from showing you the sound from the screen where you've got all the attendees from all over the world. Why most clubs do that completely wrong. Sorry to sound negative in all this, but I'll show you the right way of doing it from the professional side. Lighting, again, how people get it wrong. I'll show you how to do it right, especially for club rooms, surprisingly. Then cameras, why you should use 2 cameras, and I'll show you the types of cameras to use. Very cheap, nothing I say is expensive and will cost you money. Laptops, why you should use laptops and laptops only, and preferably, and I would say essentially, Windows laptops, because Macs simply are not fit for purpose for Zoom. I use them for everything else in my recording studios, everything. Why you should use, oh, by the way, as regards laptops, I never buy new. I always buy refurbished. You know, the companies that buy them from the banks and from the insurance institutes, from IBM and all that, and then they replace them every year. That's what they do. And then they just refurbish them and sell them. That's the type I buy. And I always buy HP, funny enough, because they are built like rocks. They're built like solid bricks. And the secret of pillows. I'll let you see what that is in a few minutes. So let's get on. Sound is the first thing. Now, I'll have to again explain to you right from the off. The sound is nothing to do with the microphones. I'll repeat that. The sound is nothing to do with the microphones. It's to do with the ambience, the echo, the reverberation, reflections, call it what you want in the room. Have you got that? Now, I'm speaking to you as if you're a school child. Apologies for that. I'm too used to doing that. But that's what happens. It's all the reflections and everything coming from the room into the microphone. In a recording studio, we have perfect sound. The sound in this room is pretty good because there are no what we call parallel walls. But this invention here has changed our lives completely. It was brought out about 6 months ago by a company I use a lot in China called Boya. And I'll put the detail down below. But this has changed life for everybody because they're so close to your mouth and they cut out all the reflections in the room. Boya microphone being used now by loads and loads of television companies right throughout the world. The idea really in a club situation is to pass the lanyard, always put them on a lanyard. And I'll tell you the reason why. If you don't put them on a lanyard, then you get that business of passing it from the Toastmaster to the speaker. If the speaker's a lady, fellas, ladies do not like you fumbling along with the front end. I'm trying to put that as politely as I can, but ladies do not like you fumbling around putting this on, okay? And it's even worse if you hand it to them and they're fumbling and trying to put it on. It's always pretty much a nightmare, So, put the microphone on a lanyard, yeah? And then it's so easy. If you're the Toastmaster, you're saying, and now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fellow Toastmasters, and very welcome guests, we now have the next speaker, who is Mary Bridges, and she comes from Idaho, and she's going to do a speech on the art of passing a microphone from one to the other. Here she is. A big round of applause for Mary. Boink. It's on. Do that a few times and you'll have it absolutely perfect. What you don't want to happen, believe me, is what I see all over the place. Yes, they get the lanyards and everything. You give them the lanyard like that, and the fella takes the microphone and starts shouting into it like this. Shouting into it, ladies and gentlemen, blah, 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 blah. And I hope you can hear how distorted this is. The next item I'd like to get on to is the sound in the room. As in the sound from the screen. Assuming you have a screen, you will have a screen because you've got to see the people who have dialed in to the meeting. Don't believe the advertisements that say you can bring in the sound system in your pocket and plug it in and you'll hear everything. No, those are not invented yet and they never will be. It's all to do with size as regards speakers. Now, my minimum would be in a meeting room would be 2 10-inch speakers. 10-inch speakers. They're not expensive, on poles, and you will have perfect sound. Perfect sounds. Okay. Next thing I'd like to cover is lighting. You need to be as well lit as possible, and there's a mantra in the photography business and in the video business that you need to have as much light behind as in front. Now we've got 2 lots of lighting in front, mainly because I do everything on the cheap. I don't spend huge amounts of money because I like to do it properly and spend the least amount because I understand that people don't want to spend money on equipment. And this is what I've got. Look, I've got an absolute bog standard circle light. Circle light is there, look. And that is just there, like that, okay? On this side, I've got, it just happens to be my reading light, which is the light that I like to sit there, and that's the reading light. It's an LED light, doesn't use much electricity, and it's perfect for the job. You notice that I've got a light on one side, and I've got a light on the other side. And the reason for that is is to avoid, and I'm trying to get them, yes, if I look directly into that light there, you'll see it's reflecting in my glasses. But if I'm speaking to you normally like that, you don't see any reflection. You've got to have a light on that side, light on that side. If you have a light right in front of you, you've got reflections in the glasses about what you do. As regards having as much light behind as in front, it's a theoretical thing. It's to do with the aperture of the lens of the camera. So what I do to get around there is a cheat. I put a light just sitting there, and that light fools the aperture, the automatic aperture in the camera, and will give lovely skin tones. I think the skin tones are pretty good, and it's all about skin tones. As regards cameras, you do need minimum of 2 cameras. But having said that, you can have 2 main cameras, and then as many people as they like just put the meeting onto their iPhones. But make sure that the microphone is muted, yes, and the speakers are muted. Make sure of that. But you can have as many as you like in the room. But this is the camera that I use mostly. It's a bog standard Logitech 940. The second camera I've got is this one. It's called ViewSonic. It's a wide angle view and it's 110 degrees. So it's perfect for picking up the whole room. You can see there on the left, that's the view. It's picking up my back at the moment, but that picks up the whole room perfectly. As regards to laptops, now when I say laptops, please use a laptop, because yes, you can do it on iPhones and iPads, but they're very unwieldy. They just don't work properly. They don't work. Much easier to do everything on a laptop. And I would say please steer away from Macs, because Macs were never designed for this sort of work. PCs just happen, I think, by luck to have it worked out. They've worked out perfectly because there are plenty of in and out sockets on a laptop, a Microsoft laptop. I've got 2 laptops here. It's just for convenience. These laptops can be anywhere, be on the top table. You can have one guy who is absolutely dedicated to just using the laptop, or 2 laptops you can have. And then I've got the second laptop here because it's convenient when we're doing the meetings. Then we can see a room view, gallery view, and also the speaker view. That's the way we do it. You can, so long as you use 2 laptops, I would say you can have them anywhere you like. Now I'll show you now the wiring up, and this is the most important part. Now you'll see here the most important thing is the wiring, and this here is the sound going out. And this is where Macs don't make it, because they've gone onto Type-C connectors, which nobody has got, let's face it, to connect like this. So that's just a bog standard, look, an 8-inch, and it goes in there. This can be trailed anywhere in the room and comes up to this jobby. And that's plenty powerful enough. It's an 8-inch speaker, and it's plenty powerful enough for in here. Next thing we've plugged in is this jobby, which is the receiver for these Boya microphone. The next bit of wiring you got to know about is the play port on the side of the laptop, and that's where the HDMI wire goes into, and this is a high definition something or other it's called. It's for playing onto a large television set if you've got one. If you don't, that will go into the projector which you'll be using. You can use a projector, or you can use, if you're posh, you'll have a huge TV, you know, the sort of thing, 55-inch. But that's where that goes in. That goes in just there, and that's it there. That goes all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, all the way around. This is quite a large TV, and it's good enough for this meeting because there's usually only about 4 or 5 people here. That is just connected straight into the TV. That goes straight into the back of the TV. The next connection we've got is a connection for the camera. This camera is connected straight into the first laptop. So we've got all the connections now into the first laptop. The first laptop is really operating virtually everything. You've got the sound coming out of it. You've got the sound going into it there. You've got the HDMI, which is going out to either a projector or a large screen TV. You have got then the main camera, which is right in front of me here. That's the main camera. The most important thing you've got to understand is the 2 laptops have got to be essential. They have got to be hardwired, what's called hardwired. Do not use Wi-Fi. It's so unreliable, you will get into trouble. But hardwired, now I'll show you what hardwired is. That's hardwired in the back. Okay, that's hardwired. And this goes a massive wires, and that goes into the router. There's one little trick I'll give you while I'm on about it, is that people say, how do we get such good skin tones? Well, obviously I've explained about the lighting. Make sure you get as much lighting behind as you have in front. And also a little trick, I've got a little light and it's shining up there onto the ceiling. So the light is giving just that little bit of a colour. It's nuts, it's theatrical. It's a stage theatrical TV trick, but there we are. How do you stop people going off screen? Off screen in the room, in a big room. It's very easy. You know the sort of thing where people are talking away and they're talking away and then suddenly they disappear. There's a very easy trick for stopping that, and it's just these jobbies. Pillows, that's all they are. Look, get a few pillows, put them on the floor, one there, and you work out, that's the furthest I can go. That's the furthest I can go. Go to the other side, let's see, and that's the furthest I can go. That way you do not have to look down at all. If you put strips of gaffer tape or marking or chalk markings or whatever, you've got to look down and it just looks stupid. But with the pillow, or you can put a box, but that is what I use, and a lot of professional people use it. And it's great, you will never ever go off screen. Perfect, isn't it? Perfect. I hope that's not too technical. It's just common sense stuff really, and you can learn it anyway. You just have to be shown it a few times and you can learn it. But the most important thing I feel you've got to understand is you do need 4 people in the club, men, women, boys, girls, who are tech savvy or want to be tech savvy. Because I'll tell you where you need 4. If you've got 4 people, one of them, when the meeting comes up, will have to fly to Honolulu because the cat had kittens and she wants to give the kitten to somebody in Honolulu. That's the first excuse. And then somebody else the day before, they pitch up at the meeting and say, oh my goodness me, my wife having a baby, I've got to go. So that's then you will be left with 2. And you need a minimum of 2 people to operate a decent hybrid meeting, to operate the 2 laptops mainly. And here's the thing, people don't like this at all. The 2 people or the 4 people have to pitch up 45 minutes before the first attendee walks into the room. In other words, everything has got to be set up before anybody walks into the room. Well, that is show business etiquette. You've often heard, the house call in a theatre just 35 minutes before the curtain goes up. you will always have what's called a house call, and that means that they let the audience in. You've got to think the same way in Toastmasters meetings. So you've got to be there 45 minutes beforehand to set up all the equipment. That's if you know how to set it up. And also then you've got to be prepared to strip it all down at the end. And hopefully you've got a cupboard to put the stuff into. So there you have it. You will have perfect Zoom meetings if you follow what I said. And this is the professional advice which I suppose you won't get in very many places. But you will have perfect meetings if you do this. So we've covered sound, we've covered lanyards, why you should use lanyards, we've covered the speakers, why you should have the biggest speakers possible for your club meetings to show the sound from the screen. We've covered lighting, we've covered cameras, we've covered laptops. I've told you how to get the cheapest laptops. We've covered then pillows, a very professional trick that. So I think we've covered everything. Go do it. You will have great meetings. Any questions or anything, just get back in touch with me, dec@makehits.com. This is Dec Kluski. I hope you got a lot out of this. I hope so. Well, this is how to set up hybrid meetings properly. See you next one. Bye.
City girls just seem to find out early how to